Now, if we take a close look at the Star Wars franchise, especially within the Skywalker saga, there's usually some kind of major twist and or turn. We have seen this happen in both Empire and Return of the Jedi, as well as, of course, in The Rise of Skywalker. To an extent, J.J. Abrams really tried to make the ultimate twist that Rey was a Palpatine and that Rey calls herself a Skywalker and stuff like that. That basically was really Kathleen Kennedy's idea, by the way, behind the scenes. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that Favreau and Filoni are now trying to accomplish is by creating their own twists and turns in the Mandoverse. This is not only going to be used in the Ahsoka Tano series, but it's also going to be used in the 4th season of The Mandalorian. And that brings us to the biggest thing of all, and how a lot of this has to do with the character of Grogu. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth on John and Dave trying to decide what they want to do with Grogu's true identity and exactly who he really is, where he really comes from, and stuff around those lines. And just recently, a lot of storyboards have been finalized for Mando 4 to be used in the official script, and how a lot of it is indeed related to the character of Grogu. Now, we're gonna be tapping into a lot of this in just a second, and exactly what this all really means, and how it really pertains to a lot of original ideas, I must add, by George Lucas and what he was supposed to do in The Empire Strikes Back. So let's tap right into this right now. Now, given that Favreau, Filoni, and Lucas are all working together as a team to make the best scenario as possible, however, with Jon Favreau actively making many changes and retcons to the Star Wars lore, and for the better to keep things interesting for fans, recently he finalized something substantial in the Star Wars franchise that was in the preliminary phase for a while and that has now been finalized. This is set to involve unraveling the secrets of Grogu and his new name, as well as Yoda's official species that is set to enter into the canon for the end of 2023. Now, it's described that Favreau finalized the actual moment, of course, in the form of storyboards to be used in the script for the 4th season of Mando. One of the illustrations showcases both Luke and Ahsoka Tano standing in front of a tall, ancient Jedi temple, with Grogu floating on top of a boulder. In this illustration, there is a caption that states that Luke, Ahsoka, and Yoral, Y-O-R-A-L, discover the Jedi temple. Favreau is set to make it canon that many of Yoda's species names start with a Y. So let me just pause here for a second. Now, we talked about this lightly a couple of months ago of how they are set to call Grogu as Yoral in the upcoming Star Wars Mandalorian Season 4. Now, you can see how, yes, he is creating a trend of making all of Yoda's species start with a Y. Of course, you have Yoda, Yaddle, Yoral. In Legends, this was not the case. You had a lot of different characters in Yoda's species that had names that started with an O, for example. But looking at all of this, it is a very interesting way, because it does have that Yoda-esque sound to it, and it is unique. You know, I always thought that the name Grogu was a little off. I'm not saying that I hated the name or anything, but I always felt that it needed to sound more Yoda and Yaddle-ish, and that's what they're overall aiming for. They're trying to add that more, you know, mystified type of sound to the actual name. And that brings us to the next thing. Alright, so there's a lot of scenarios, and it doesn't end here, of what John and Dave are planning to unravel for Grogu, aka Yoral, in Mandalorian Season 4. It's not just about his new name or his backstory, but there's also going to be a lot more revelations that we currently aren't aware of right now, of what's going on behind closed doors, and what they actually have planned for Mando 4 and a potential Mando 5 and 6. Favreau has stated that if 4 proves to be successful, there will be a 5 and a 6 to end things altogether. So, Yoral's last name is also said to be Minch, M-I-N-C-H, and that many of Yoda's species, even though unrelated, are said to share the same last name as Minch. This dates back to the Lucas original name for Yoda being called Minch Yoda, and the inspiration for Favreau by calling Grogu Yorl Minch. As it turns out, the name Grogu is actually the name of his home world, the same world as Yoda and Yaddle's, and where Yoda comes from as well. Since the only thing that he thought of was his home world, it's the only thing that the Jedi could grab from his mind, and hence, the Jedi are the ones that named him Grogu based on the minuscule information that they grabbed from his mind, since it went dark. This was always a part of Favreau's plan to dive deeper into Grogu's backstory, and it's just the beginning of his secrets that will be unraveled in Season 4 and a potential 5 and 6. So, let me just pause here quick for a second. Now, the thing about this that is very intriguing is that there is a large Jedi temple in this storyboard illustration that has been finalized, by the way, to be used in the official script. It makes you wonder, what exact Jedi temple are Luke, Yorl, aka Grogu, and Ahsoka standing in front of? Exactly what planet are they on? You know, these are the questions that are really opening up right now, based on this storyboard illustration description for Mando 4. Now, Mando 4, by the way, John confirmed that it is going to be very strong with the Force. It's going to be very much embedded in that mythology. It's going to have a lot of that. And you know what? I like that. You know, that's kind of like what Ahsoka's going to be like. It's going to be very mythology driven. And basically, Favreau wants to evolve from Mando 3 to Mando 4, becoming more mythology based. And I think that was the game plan all along, because we know that Favreau loves the whole aspects of the Jedi, the Force, the dark side and the light, good and evil, stuff like that. That was always his game plan, without a doubt. Now, Grogu being called Yorl is actually said to have been finalized based on this new storyboard. And I'm not saying I don't like the name, I'm just saying that I'm not quite sure if it's going to be quite iconic or quite easily passable through fans as Grogu. I think that there was a reason why Grogu really kind of latched on to so many fans, is because it kind of rolls off your tongue easier, in my opinion. But that's just me. The thing about John and Dave and what they're trying to achieve is that they really want to create a lot of revelations for not just Mando 4, but also for Star Wars Ahsoka, and that brings us to Ahsoka. Now, they already finished filming for that show, and the Ahsoka series is going to have a lot of revelations related to characters like Anakin, Ahsoka herself, Ezra Bridger, Grand Admiral Thrawn. It's going to change how a lot of fans view the prequel trilogy movies, and even some of the original trilogy movies. So I would like to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let's have a discussion below. What do you think about the name Yorl? Does it sound good to you? Is it better than Grogu? Is it worse than Grogu? Drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.